All right, here we are. Welcome to our second episode of the podcast, I guess. We're still going to be calling it that. I'm Emmanuel. I'm here with Alex.
Hi, it took me a second. I'd totally forgotten that we're doing a podcast thing with this. I
We,
wasn't sure
we,
what you were talking about.
yeah, we,
Here,
we
have
kind
a
of are, but we kind of aren't. But yeah, second episode of that, our hobby and hang, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about what playing in person kind of means to us, and it's going to be a bit of a thing today, but it's just something we were talking about a lot this past week, mostly, but something that I've been thinking about a lot so far. So while I do something that's very much not fun to hear on audio and shake up my metallic.
dude, I just used the mixer. It's all good.
You're working on Morse guitar today?
Yep, literally picking up from where we put stuff down last week.
Kind of the
I've
same for me. It's been a busy week for me, bud. I not unbusy for fun stuff though. I did get a few games of Kill Team in Thursday at Dark Side, and then down at our local club down there by you, game with Dusty.
Mhm.
So I did get some Kill Team in, just not much time for hobby, as it were.
Nope,
I
because real
am.
life is
Go
sort of
ahead.
back.
Sorry.
Because real life is sort of back.
It kind of is, yeah, in a lot of different ways. So, I got here my Tau guys, and I'm doing a test model with here because I've been thinking about how I want to do my Tau, my Tau orcs, and most of their jumpsuit is just black, which I'll highlight with a little bit of gray later, just to bring it up a little bit, but I kind of wanted to make the weapons pop a little bit from the rest, so I'm going to base coat them in this metal color. It's kind of like, I describe it to you, it's like contrast paint but metallic.
Is it one of the Vallejos?
Yeah. And I'm going to base coat it in this, and then I'm going to give it a red contrast paint coloring throughout, like wherever there would be the normal red with black for the Farside Enclave color scheme,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully that makes their weapon and armor kind of stand out a little bit more sci-fi than the kind of Gundam look that they tend to have, you know?
Yeah.
No shade at Gundam, but I have no affinity for that series. I have no connection to it at all on a personal level, so it doesn't really matter much to me. Their whole aesthetic and what it's trying to evoking, it just kind of feels like it breaks the immersion a little bit for me. The
Yeah,
Tau
the
that I
aesthetic,
really like Luke's Tau.
the black and pink.
Yeah, I really like that color scheme a lot. I always enjoy seeing his Tau. And I hadn't realized it until I was looking through all the SCO pictures from that Sheldon from Kill Team stream posted to his Facebook today, and he shared it around. All the pictures from this weekend at Southern California Open. And how great a segue was that? Completely not intended to talk about playing games in person, but hey, here we are. So why don't you take it away and just fill everyone in on kind of what prompted us to talk about this? Unless you don't know, because I kind of came up with the idea today.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what prompted you to make that selection.
Well, tell me about playing games in person. What that means to you?
I mean, so just in general, for me, this hobby is equal parts both working, doing what we're doing now, building, painting, and also the actual playing of the game. And in a lockdown world, half of that joy is gone.
Yep.
It's there's TTS that exists, and I used it, and it scratches the itch for a while. But as someone who enjoys both sides of this, both the physical hobby aspect and the playing aspect, the joy of playing is diminished when I'm not using my own minis.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to get on a table and use my own stuff is 100 times better.
Mm-hmm. And then just
Keep
to,
posing Electro Priest aside.
I was actually surprised that you never took the extra step to 3D print your own T-posed Electro Police just to have them in
I
real life as
did
well.
an eBay rescue of Electro Priests that are sitting in a bag. I've got like 20 of them sitting there.
So you really don't need them.
No, I really don't need them.
Yeah, but when has this ever been about need?
Um, well, there's not being about need, and then there's having an excess of riches.
Yeah. ¿Por qué no los dos? Yeah. So the playing with own miniatures that's a big thing of it too. But one thing that I've gotten really reminiscent lately. It started by accident. I was looking for a pic of myself with my dog from 2019 to share with my wife, and it got me scrolling through all of my cell phone photos, and I came across a ton in the LGS, and it really made me reminiscent of what it was like to play in person back then. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big part of the kind of weekly ritual and the kind of not expectation per se, but just kind of what we did every week, you know. And um, and then being at the LGS and getting a couple games in this week, but not seeing all the people, all the same characters showing up as they used to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Really made me miss that, and I kind of have to share or recognize how fortunate we are and where we live and what we have around us, because there's a plethora of wargaming that's happening around us in Southern California. So we're very fortunate to have a scene where in the before times there were plenty of people to play with, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's gonna have that, but that being said, really did miss having that, you know.
Yeah.
And one thing I've talked about it with this couple people, and yeah, it's still a little nerve wracking for some to come out and play in public and all that kind of stuff. Like all obvious things that we don't need to talk about aside. The My biggest worry is how comfortable the world has gotten with home, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and being a homebody. Because over the past almost 2 years now, 1.5 years at this point,
Past.
are we past that at this point?
Yeah, because it
Times.
was March.
That's right. With all this time, it's like we had to find a way to claim our lives at home, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and find a way to engage in the hobby from home. And it was so great to have TTS. Not that either of us engaged in it. That was not something that on the kill team side, not something that we dove deep into. We played in an invitational tournament at the get go and quickly realized it was just kind of highlighting everything that we were missing from this whole global
Yeah.
catastrophe, you know. But in addition to that, it was you did engage in it, and it kind of enabled you to engage in a game that you really weren't.
Well, I used
Yeah,
it to engage in Big Hammer,
yeah,
and for me, that was able to work because I was still learning it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Like there was so much of the I like there's so much history and expectation and stuff with us with Kill Team and the joy of just sitting there and playing at the table, and I didn't have that yet. with Big
Mm-hmm.
Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the world were to go hardcore into lockdown again,
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't think I could go back and do it again because at this point I'm used to playing it on a table with my fully painted army and
Mm-hmm.
having the excitement of that. And so
Yeah.
now it would present the same problems that Kill Team does for me on TTS.
Yeah. And not only just kill team, or not only just playing with their own guys, but I just missed. I'm a very um, I was about to say eccentric, but that's true as well.
True, but not the point.
Not the point. It's that other e word. That's not introvert, extrovert. I'm very, very extroverted, and making my way to being with people in person, all that kind of stuff. That was really something that I really found I needed.
Mhm.
I really found that I needed. And these thoughts really started to percolate to the surface mostly um, at the SoCal Open weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that you said to me after I picked you up and we started driving down to San Diego?
I have no idea. What did I say?
I still
I
remember.
probably said a lot of stupid stuff, so you have to tell me
No.
what the smart thing I said was.
No, we were just in traffic. It was very whatever, right? We were just in traffic on our way down. And he just turned to me in the car and he said, "Man, I missed this."
Yeah.
It was just driving down to the place, like the expectations of going there, all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, man, I missed this.
Yeah. I think for me, I was just like the feeling like that pre-tournament, like excitement, knowing what's coming in the next couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I missed.
Yeah, and that's what kind of got my brain stirring on all this kind of stuff. Because I'm thinking like, yeah, I missed this. What am I missing? What about this am I really missing? It was nice to play games with people. It was nice to see people again that I hadn't seen in Meet Space. It had been forever since we had seen Sheldon.
Hmm.
Um, and then all the same crew, play games with people I had not played with, and all that stuff. But it was really that engagement, that across the table engagement, talking with someone, playing the game, rolling the dice. And then on top of all that, it was also just being out there with people.
Yeah. I think that might have been one of the reasons why we enjoyed the narrative day so much. Not that narrative isn't
Hmm.
just by itself incredible, because it is,
Hmm.
but like it's even more of a social thing than straight competitive.
Hmm. And I mean, even with the stress that comes with the competitive side of it,
Mhm.
like despite the best efforts for the tournament to be more stressful,
Hmm.
it still carried that same feeling of just like all of us being there together to celebrate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
SCO 2022 when? Can we go
I
back?
know, right? Well, I mean, a lot more before then. You're gonna be at LVO, right? But you're gonna be playing in the 40K tournament, correct?
Yeah, for Friday, Saturday, and
Yeah.
then coming back almost certainly for the narrative day on Sunday for Kill
Mm.
Team. Unless I somehow manage to make it into the top 8 40K players at LVO, which yeah, we're not going to put that chance super high.
Hey man, you never know. You never know. That's how we
Never
came
know, but I
into
don't.
that's how we came into SCO the first time around, right?
Yeah, but that was a pool of 30, not a pool of 900.
Yeah. But they're not ready for you.
No, I don't know about that.
Mhm.
I mean, there are people who like literally this is their profession.
That's fair. That's fair. So what you're saying is that if we ever decide to monetize on any of this, then you can also say the same about yourself.
Uh, I suppose it'd technically be more of a side hustle, but essentially true.
Yeah, so that's just kind of my musings. I'll be honest, I thought I had more to talk about uh, on playing games in person and stuff like that, but I think we highlighted it pretty well already, you know?
Yeah.
Um, the big thing that just makes me a little sad, honestly, is all the people that I was used to seeing on those Thursdays
Hmm.
at the LGS just not showing up, you know? Um, Not to say that there hasn't been activity, but I just kind of there's definitely a noticed lack, you know. Um,
That yeah, that's true, but is it it's not
it's
like to
not
defend what we love. It's not just Kill Team, like
no
everything.
no no in everything no that and that's yeah that's an excellent point because um, it's really everything. Kill Team was never the biggest thing at our LGS, despite what it felt like to us, you know.
Hmm.
Um, Game stores are survived on their card games, you know,
Yep.
and that big one in the room being Magic the Gathering. And what was really popular at Darkside Games, where we would frequent, is was the Commander format. And
It will always be funny to me
why is that?
because I walked the very first day I tried to go find out about Kill Team. I walked in just asking about commanders.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Boy, were they confused as much as you were.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in the Commanders. Yeah, yeah. You're like, wait, what? Why are you talking to me about cards? um,
I also had a moment in Dark Side where someone came up to me. I wasn't playing Kill Team at the moment. I was just, I think, standing in the shop, not by my stuff or anything.
mhm.
Someone came up to me, asked me what I played. I told them AdMech, and they just looked at me blankly. They were like, I was like,
What's that?
Adeptus Mechanicus, and they were like, what? They're like, what kind of deck is that? And I just looked at them and was like, what?
That's pretty funny.
The store owner had to tell us that we were discussing two different games.
Do you remember who that was?
I don't.
Could you point him out? I'm really curious.
Uh,
Probably not.
Possibly, maybe. I don't know.
That
I'd
was a
have to.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just very, very much wanting for everything to be normal again.
Me too.
Everywhere, but also with Kill Team, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but then also the feel of the shop, too. Um, 2 weeks ago, I got super stoked. There were people playing Commander. There were people playing this other game. I think it's called Card Fight, which gained a lot of popularity over the pandemic.
Seems
People
a
were
little on the nose.
right, yeah, yeah. I made the same joke to Josh. Um, what do? You fight with cards. Done. Well, kettle calling the pot black or whichever way around that is. We play a game called Kill Team.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but yeah. What I also really missed about playing in person is teaching. You know,
Yeah.
like it's a lot harder. I say this while I put the. Oh my goodness, chat really blew up when I tabbed away to look at my reference for Pathfinders.
Wait, what? People, holy crap.
Yeah. So Titus, he's the one of the big minds behind Kill Team University. Great Discord out there, especially for newer players and even experienced ones. Saying, I know exactly the feeling. It's like the first time I saw the pewter figures, the physical models. I have wondered from my childhood, like playing Age of Empires for the first time. Oh,
Hey, Alex is here.
yeah.
He's been
Oh my
quiet.
goodness, yeah. Yeah. Ryan Wilfong, he's one of the East Coast players. Can't beat rolling dice with other people also rolling dice, yes. And not being able to complain about a dice roller, just complaining about your other friend's loaded dice. I may or may not have been guilty of that on on Saturday. I was playing a game against Dusty. He's from one of our clubs, and he was playing 3 warriors and a bunch of gaunts. And those gaunts are scary little missiles. You get enough of them in there, they're all hitting on 2s, but it doesn't matter when all he rolls is 6s. Holy moly.
That was honestly hilarious to witness. Probably less hilarious to be on the receiving end of it.
Yes. Well, I mean, it was an experience, we'll put it that way. I learned the horrors that these little guys can be. I'm used to ignoring them and their frailty from Kill Team 1, but not so much. Now, Alex, Kill Team University, he was one of the TOs for a lot of the games of a lot of the tournaments have passed. He co-TO'd, I think, LVO, is that right? Most recent one with Elliot and Sheldon. He was there. I remember he had to give me a ruling to let someone let me use my my grots in trash cans there. He's saying, I just asked FLG to dissolve my 40k main event ticket so Sheldon can use it to give away Kill Team tickets before LVO. Also, hi from Planet Cadia. Oh, buddy. I have something to tell you about the future of Cadia.
I think he might have misspelled the planet Canadia.
And then this is largely catching up. Pajama Titus saying, oh man, I never even thought about the actual full hit of COVID. I came back to the hobby just in time for it happening. Yeah, he came in right. A lot of people actually got into this looking for ways to spend time, looking for ways to occupy their minds and take them away from just looking at news reports and feeling all that depression, and
Away from the doom scroll.
away from the doom scroll, yes. And he's not alone in that. And having been around before and seeing that full impact of how, honestly, it's everywhere. And things are open enough and people are vaccinated enough that there's a lot of ability for people to actually go and do things now. But whether it is the kind of apprehension to go out or just the comfort of being at home now, just everyone's built their little fortresses at home, built their little spaces, built their ADUs out and all that stuff, and they're happy, safe, and content, And even when doing social things, they found ways to be able to do everything that they wanted to do, but perhaps from home or perhaps online. And while that's all great, if that's what you're about, God, there's something about being out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not realize how much I missed it until SEO weekend.
Yeah, it's. I think I'm going to do some wild speculation here.
Okay.
War gamers are a nerdy sort in general.
Mm-hmm.
Let's establish that as a baseline. And I think the nerdier sorts are generally more technically savvy and therefore were able to pick up the world of internet socialization and communication and living well like that.
Well, most of us already were doing that. Like, we already had a club
So-
Discord, and that was a savior for a lot of people. I remember so many people in our club Discord saying how just like, even just logging in and just seeing what we were saying without really engaging in the conversation was a huge saving grace for them over the pandemic.
Right. And just but having that like and leaning on that even harder. Like a lot of the people who have come back out of the woodworks are people who probably didn't have those networks to lean on built in. So we had all of our safety measures in place. And so now that they started to lift and other options become available, there still are safety measures and available to us.
Mm-hmm. And also, not to be too stereotypical, but a lot of us inside this hobby are very introverted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And certain parts of engaging in wargaming are much more individual, right? Especially the hobby
Right.
side of this, like seeing groups that used to be primarily gaming groups turn into pretty much primarily hobby groups, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it really staying that way, even though there's safe spaces for everyone to engage with proper precautions to enjoy the hobby as we used to have it, you know?
Yep.
And all that's fine, honestly. Like, this isn't a cry for help or saying, everyone, look what you're doing to poor Emmanuel. He needs people to play with. Come to Dark Side.
That's totally a cry for help for me. Come play with me, people.
Yeah. But the reality of it is, it's just like this dawning moment of just like, oh my goodness, this might be the new norm, man.
Mm-hmm.
That made me sad in my sad place.
It, it's the world sorting itself out.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see where all the chips fly, but land. But yeah. When I posted this Discord, when I posted this live stream in the various Discords, just so people would have the link handy, I did put a warning: Emmanuel might get a little touchy, lovey feely today.
Okay. Well, as long as it's not the grot getting touchy, lovey, feely, we're okay.
He's behind you.
Oh no. Oh, those are the Tyranids.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then like these funny stories like this. Like I miss this just from the goofy experiences we have in games when all you're doing is just throwing down dice and not worrying about ranking and all that kind of stuff. We're playing a game with Dustin again, the same game that I was playing on Saturday, and I had a Breacher boy who was being a bit of a hero up on this tower, and nid after nid, warrior, then gaunts and all that stuff, kept charging up, but he was so far forward they had to keep charging up behind him. And every time Dustin would charge another nid up, it was always the same thing. He's behind me, isn't he? And my stupid brain finds that way more amusing than it should be.
No, it's pretty darn amusing.
It's pretty darn amusing. I mean, it definitely did help that Dusty has a wonderfully dry sense of humor and delivery. Because he's just like casually placing it up there. It's like, it's right behind me, isn't he? And then just goes back to rolling his dice as if he didn't just make the same funny joke again. I enjoyed that. Funny joke? Oh, you don't know what that's from.
What?
Oh my goodness. Have you ever seen Game Grumps?
Nick talks about it, but no, I've never seen it.
Yeah. Game Grumps is pretty funny, and what they do is they tend to film like they basically do a lot of different content, but one is just like playthroughs of games, like let's plays, right? And they tend to
Let me
film.
guess, are they grumpy during it?
I'm sorry.
Are they grumpy during it?
They get a little grumpy, but not so much. They're just kind of shooting the shit, almost like kind of what we do with this. And a lot of times they'll just go off on all these tangents while they're playing the games. And some of the best episodes that they have are the Game Grumps episodes where they're playing random levels that get submitted to them from Super Mario Maker, because they can get
Mm-hmm.
really hard, those levels. And they'll film like these marathon recording sections where they'll film for 6 hours total, so that the way they have like a ton of videos to pull from, right?
Right.
And I just realized I've been painting this entire time off a frame. I'm sorry. I don't think anyone really cares about my base coating of metallics, though. But here we are. So they'll record for so many sessions, and I promise that's relevant to know because the best videos are towards the end of the recording sessions where they're loopy and exhausted and they just stop making sense, and it is so amazing. And I can't remember their names. Dan is one of them, and I can't remember the other guy's name. Oh my goodness. The he starts saying all of these really bad, corny dad jokes about Star Wars, but he's saying them as in a Yoda voice. And after every single punchline, he just says, "Funny joke," and then starts doing a Yoda laugh. And Dan is not having it. He's getting pissed off. He's like, "Stop it. Stop it. That's so annoying. Stop it." And then he just keeps going on and on and on with it. And then you start having Dan just threatening violence towards Yoda, and then Yoda just saying funny joke over and over. I gotta find you the clip because it's absolutely hilarious. They turned it into a little bit of an animated sketch. Kind of like how Adeptus Ridiculous did the I'm a tank, I'm a tank thing. Mm-hmm. But I gotta find it for you.
They did an animated version of that.
Oh yes, they did. Oh, I gotta show that to you too then.
That makes me happy.
It's so good. They also made a sweatshirt which I may or may not have purchased.
I'm a tank?
I'm a tank, I'm a tank, I'm a tank.
That's really funny. I wonder where I found. I don't remember where I saw that joke from originally.
Yeah, because it's not an original from them, that's for sure. And he credits that it's a story. But his retelling is really good on Adeptus Ridiculous because Bricky's just a great storyteller. And he does a really good telling of the I'm a tank thing. And he's there with his co-host DK, who is amazing at reacting to these stories. He's just so in it. He's just so engrossed by all of it. And they do a great animated kind of retelling of it, just like a little short. I'll find it for you after this and show it to you. And then we'll film you reacting to it and get in on that YouTube hotness.
Nope.
No, we're not doing reaction videos?
I mean, you're welcome to, but I will not be participating.
That's the day the channel dies. David Nadler here saying, I'm a little confused about how group activation works when, say, two Hormagaunts go into close combat on a single target. Each one of them charges in the fight. It seems like a non-optimal play. So it's actually a very valid tactic, and there was a really great situation where it helped him out a bunch, helped Dan out a bunch. We were kind of doing some coaching while we're playing, so when we do coaching, we like to just slow down and discuss all options and the pros and cons of all of that. And this exact scenario, David, came up. So the way group activation works, it's a sequence, right? One happens, then the other happens. So they're not both charging in at the same time, and you don't have to choose who's going to charge in next before something happens. So the second charge largely should be because something you did not accomplish with the first charge needs to be finished. Or you're doing it to get control over an objective or something like that. So what I did, I was trying to make sure that a warrior could not charge up on one of my commandos on a tower because we were doing recover the data spirits, and the
there was one of the objectives was up on the tower,
and it was up on the tower, and my goal was to get down from that tower on the opposite side because in this mission you can pick up an objective and then run away with it. So I was trying to get them away from where he could just swarm them with gaunts, yada yada. So I wanted to make sure his warrior couldn't jump up there and lock me up. So I sacrificially charged a regular commando boy into the warrior and a gaunt. I had to charge the gaunt. I couldn't just charge the warrior. and I just charged and passed because I did not want to fight either of them and get weaker because I wanted to make sure that I stood around. So he first fought me. He then activated the gaunts first because he was going to try and kill me off with the gaunts to free up his warrior, so that way the warrior with bone swords and lash whip could go eat the commando knob that's standing up there. He first fought with the gaunt, took off a little bit of health, but the gaunt didn't seal the deal, and I did not kill the gaunt in return.
I thought he charged in with another gaunt first.
No. The first thing he did was he fought with that gaunt, and in retrospect, well, he didn't want to charge in with that other gaunt first, just in case his one gaunt did enough damage, right?
Okay.
But he failed to seal the deal with the first gaunt. That first gaunt, though, because he had a warrior in combat with him, got something called combat support, which gives him a +1 to hit. Now that keeps stacking for every friend that you have in there, so charging the second gaunt in also gave another +1, so +2 total. So that gaunt was hitting on 2s, the second one that came in. So there's a benefit of stacking multiple people in there if you really need to make sure something dies and you want to stack a lot of that combat benefit. One thing that both Alex and I learned in that game is that the bonus from Lash Whip happens even if the warrior is not engaged in fighting. So even though the warrior is not fighting in that exchange,
well, yeah, still engaged, but not actively in the combat.
Yes. Yeah, I was backing up to correct that right now, actually.
Yeah.
As long as you're in engagement with a warrior, the Lash Whip will reduce your number of attacks by 1. So even if you're fighting the gaunt, but you're engaged with the warrior and the gaunt, you still lose one of your attacks, which is amazing.
So yeah, I think like palling around a warrior with 2 gaunts is super scary.
Definitely agree, because it was. Oh shoot! I'm gonna have to do a lot of touch-ups on this one. I overbrushed quite a bit of metallic onto those sleeves. That's okay. He needs a lot of work. So Alex, this is what that red over the
Let me see. Oh, that was really good. It looks sort of orangey on the.
It kind of does on the stream. It's definitely
more
a red
in person. Okay, cool.
In real life, it definitely plays red.
We'll have to compare that to like how my red contrast over Leadbelcher looks.
Say that one more time. I missed what you said.
We'll have to like do a side by side with because I do Blood Angels red over Leadbelcher for my red metallics, as do you actually. Now that I say that.
But I mean this stuff, the Vallejo metal color, it's indistinguishable from Leadbelcher. Indistinguishable from Leadbelcher. I really like this stuff. It's really good base coating. It's a little too messy if you need to do touch up, so I still use Leadbelcher, but it's pretty much equivalent. Alex from Kill Team Academy saying, who won and or what were the general results of SCO Kill Team? I'm a bit out of the loop. Sure are.
Nothing of any importance happened whatsoever.
Well, so first day was the matched play day, and Alex took that handedly. Not handedly, I gave you a little bit of run for your money there at the end, but Alex and I were playing at the top table at the end. And
not to trigger you or anything. I struggled. Leonidas did not.
Oh, that little guy. Yeah, that was a big swing. That was a big swing that didn't decide it, but made it a lot harder for me to have anything to respond with. And then I ended up taking third, 1 point behind Janice, who took second. And then on day 2 for the narrative campaign, or the narrative tournament, I ended up taking first for that. So Alex and I jokingly said we had to make sure that we kept the trophies in the family.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a joke.
At the steakhouse restaurant that we went to, because before anything even happened on Saturday in the morning, I told Alex, no matter what happens, we're going out for steak and scotch for dinner, and he said, "Oh, okay." Um, so we did that afterwards, and Sheldon decided as we're paying our check to our poor waitress. Alex brought his trophy in with him, and
No,
Sheldon
you
turns
guys
to the.
made me bring my trophy in with me. I was.
You did not put up a fight. Get out of here. It's like you say that as if you're kicking and screaming. No, guys, I really don't want to bring this trophy I'm so proud of with me everywhere. I believe your answer was you're bringing that with you into the restaurant. You know that, right? You said, "Damn straight I am."
I mean,
Or something to that effect.
that sounds like it's within the realm of possibility.
Anyway, Sheldon points over to the trophy and says to our poor waitress, "He won that today." Ugh. And she's like, "Oh wow, that's great." She was a little bit more enthusiastic than that, but I find it funnier to tell the story that way, so I do.
No, she was politely interested. Actually, not even interested.
She
Was
politely responded.
Yes.
Disco Pete was going back and forth a little bit with David about the GA2 and mentioned something I agree with. He says, I was thinking GA2 for Vet Guardsmen would be really cool because you could have one guy shoot, then charge, then the next guy can then fight with a +1. Yeah, the two general ways to build the Vet Guard with either... what was I about to say? Oh, with either letting them get all their artillery stuff or having 2 more activations, 4 more bodies, but both of them GA2, but all 4 of them GA2. I honestly think that's a really strong way to do it, better than having the artillery, specifically because GA2, when you're not sacrificing too much to get it, like you're not losing too many activations to get it, and there you're gaining 2 activations to get it. 14 bodies, 4 of them GA2, you're at 12 activations, which is massive. And having 2 of those GA2, like if you have one person holding a point, with 1 activation, you can move one person up there, just charge and then pass, and then another person moves up there in mission actions to score you VP. You can take control over a point with guard equivalents in effectively 1 activation. And so many tricks like that you can do with GA2. I really like GA2, and that's why when I put together my my fire teams for orcs, I put for regular orcs, because I just assembled what would be a legal team with what I have, because I have zillions of orcs, right? I made sure to have at least 2, if not 4 grots, because you can, for each fire team, you could take out a boy and give it 2 grots. Because of how interesting I find GA2 with the shenanigans you could do from a mission objective standpoint. I really like GA2. It seemed like it was just like a simple thing just to balance weak models and give them a little bit of a benefit, but I think it's a lot stronger than we initially gave it credit for.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah. Do you have anything in Hunter Clay that can give you GA2? No, right? And not even in Forge World, right?
Well, no.
Well, technically, you can get to GA2 with certain abilities, right?
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that?
So it's either on one of the alphas, it's either on this Ranger or Vanguard Alpha as just a data card ability for Hunter Clade, or as a ploy that Forge World has access to. But
so both teams can do it.
Yes, they can basically pick 2 models to activate together within a certain distance of each other, which can, in the right moment, be really, really nice.
That's honestly, if you were to compare, if you were to make me choose between having that and GA2, that's definitely better.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you
Like
why I think it, and then you can tell me if you agree or not before you say it, because this is just me thinking about it, not actually having gone through the strategy of using it, which you definitely have to great effect. It gives you the activation, it gives you the option to maintain high activation when that matters, when you want to delay and wait something out so that way you can pounce on it. But then you also get the option to hustle when that's more important.
Yep. No, that's exactly the reason. Anytime you have an option, it's more
Yeah,
powerful.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. You're never weaker for having options.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
When are
yeah,
we going
and,
to
and
see GA3? If we didn't see it with Poxwalkers, we're never going to see it.
no, yeah, no, definitely not.
Unless we get Scarabs. Oh, could you imagine Scarabs with GA3?
There's no way. No, no way. Because they're if you translate
Well,
scarabs,
so I don't
unless they
actually
make
know what
like
they do in 40K. Can you explain that to me?
a they're weak, but they're fast and they have 4 wounds.
Okay.
So scarabs, I mean they drop them down to probably 3 circle. Um but then they'd probably have
3 circle
fly.
free dash.
No, I don't think they'd give them. They might give them free dash, but maybe something like no mission actions. I don't know. But if they port the wounds over, they'd have 24 wounds,
Okay.
which is a lot.
Well, I mean, they've divorced themselves so much from. What is their battlefield role? Let's start
Uh,
with there.
their battlefield role is to run out and grab objectives fast, or to tar pit things. So they Necrons have tricks to basically give everything in your army objective secured, which means that you have priority on controlling objectives.
Which Warbikes have now too.
Yes. Uh, so they're just it's a lot of cheap wounds to shift that
Mm-hmm.
automatically controls the objective unless you have something that can test it in the same way. So they're a pain.
So their main battlefield role is battlefield control,
Right.
whether it's tar pitting or. I mean, in a way, that's what Poxies do too.
Yeah.
So I think they would probably still be maybe 6 wounds. Like if you kept like the wounds at 4 per model, so per little guy at 4, I could see those being GA3.
Yeah, I mean if they drop them way down like
Yeah.
that, for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, nothing should translate over from 40K because the only thing they should translate over is the feel, you know? Like,
Hmm.
what should this model feel like it's doing? You know, because they didn't do that with the commandos, right? The commandos, what the commandos bomb squig does is that it's not an actual unit, it's something that you just kind of put in there. It's almost like a token indicating that they have it. And it's a little thing that you yeet out when you do Overwatch. That's all it does in Big Hammer. So it's not a unit that you never use. I used it once. Never again. Oh my goodness. Naked HD. Online strips without clothing. Online strips without clothing. How about we squash this bot? Yeah?
Wait, what?
We got a bot. Should I add Naked HD XYZ as our as a moderator? No, I think we
Did we just
report
make
it.
it?
Unwanted commercial content or pornography or sexual explicit material. Sure. Okay, I reported it. That didn't just get rid of it. Hide
Can you
user.
delete it?
Yeah, I can. This user's messages will be hidden.
Okay.
Disco Pete saying, "Please speak for yourselves only." Yeah, it all got deleted now. Great. Hey, Alex, we
Yeah?
made it. Our live
Hooray!
stream got porn Porn spam. That's how you know. All right,
We're
hang it
big
up.
boys
We're done
now.
here.
That's bizarre.
Slanesh is in the house. Oh, you know what just happened? Disco Pete started talking about Craft World, and Slanesh said, "Who? What now? What?"
Ooh.
Let's try and tempt those Craft World Goody Two Shoes. Alrighty. Let's do a little more contrast. I'm gonna do some contrast of the green and get that shade down. Then maybe next week I'll be able to finish up some of these. So I've always really liked my orc green, the recipe that I talked about on our last one. And then I saw them in all the photos that Sheldon posted from SEO. And I like it a lot more.
It helps when someone's got a really nice camera pointed at stuff.
Yeah. Like I always wondered, like, do I go too bright with the highlights? Do I go too dark with the shadows? Because I really like a big, almost comical kind of contrast between the two. And then I dull it down after I get that bright comical contrast. I bring everything together with Nuln Oil. I forget which painter it was. I can't remember who I was watching. It was a YouTube video. And, it was Mr. Goobertown. Brent from Goobertown Hobbies. He talked about how he really likes Nuln Oil washes because what they do is they kind of bring everything to almost like a common middle, you know? That's a really good way of thinking about it, you know? So I make very, very dramatic difference between my shadows and my high points. And then I tie them all back down together with a Nuln Oil wash, which normally you're not using that on flesh and stuff like that, especially green. But when I first got started, I only had one wash. And I did that all over the whole mini. And then I started to do separate washes for different places. And I actually liked it better when I was doing one wash over the whole mini. Because I'm a simple person. But it just kind of means, to me, it's like, they're all coming out of the same ashy, dusty, kind of grimy space, you know? Like, why would there be brown on their skin? And then, because that's kind of how I view the wash. Less about shadows and more about just overall grime, you know? These look like Christmas decorations. I've done it again. Every time I paint red with my green, I'm always like, oh no, they're Christmas now. But even more so than normal, because there's a lot more red on this than I normally do, just accents. Anyway.
I mean, the red gobbo certainly isn't a Christmas nod, right?
That's fair. That's probably waiting for me at the shop right now, actually. I should message Josh after this to see if it arrived already. Hopefully. Hopefully James Workshop didn't do me dirty and keep my knob... No, James Workshop is not taking my knob. But also, James Workshop did not keep my gobbo hostage.
In James Workshop's defense, I don't know that it's entirely their fault if it's not there.
Josh was sharing with me what his rep told him. He's like, I'm telling everyone I can this. The only thing you can rely on us right now is that our shipping is unreliable. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think that's true for darn near anything right now.
David Nadler asking, what's the highest model count kill team list? 14 as guard? Yeah. I think 14 is the most that you can get there.
14 seems to have been a design decision of at some point.
We saw that in Prime Nexus, huh? You're right. Yeah, they arbitrarily limited it to 14 in Prime Nexus. And it seems like that's the highest you can get at all, because you have 12 total on the orc, the greenskins kill team, and I think Yeah. And
Like,
14 would be the most.
oh yeah, right, because it swaps 2 for 1.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah. Um, and then in addition to that, there is the... but I wanted to say, sorry, not in addition to that. And even though orcs come in less with activations on that orc killed the greenskins list is actually pretty scary for two big reasons. Number one, that's the most wounds you can have on any kill team.
Mm-hmm.
On the 2 boys orcs greenskins list. But then in addition to that, you can have 3 rockets. 2 rocket boys and then a combi rocket on the boss knob.
Oh, so 3 rockets.
Yep. That's a little
spooky.
scary.
I mean, it's the same as, like, obviously you have a more varied profile because you do have melee guys. But if I ran full Skitarii, I could have 2 Arc, 2 Plasma in Forge World,
That's fair.
which would be pretty spooky in its own right. But it's not backed up by any sort of melee whatsoever.
Depending on the matchup, that might be the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want melee for custodians.
No. Well, kind of.
Well,
I've actually, at least playing Hunter Clade, saw it like hitting one with the Arc or Plasma and then chucking a Sicarian of some sort into it to finish the job works pretty well.
if all you need is 1 hit, sure.
Yeah.
Or if you could take 1 hit back and you need 2 hits
Yeah,
to go through.
the Sicarians can tank 1 hit.
Yeah. Yeah, after playing a ton of games against custodians, I realized that you just need to outgun them, which is super fortunate of me to have an orc team that has guns now.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very big learning curve for me, honestly, at the beginning. Shoot what now? Picking out some of these silver accents now. I'm really starting to like this scheme.
Nice.
Yeah. And then once this gets a known oil wash and all these cracks start to come through. Like, look at that right there. I don't know if you can really...
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Right? I think that's going to look really nice. It's super red, trust me, on this one. So I know I said I would never take these to a tournament, but I'm really liking how they're looking, and I came up with a solution to making them tall enough so people won't get upset with a bunch of short people, even though they're technically legal because they're all the same size as the crouching guy. They're magnetized. I'll just put them on another 25 millimeter base that's got a magnet on top.
Oh, yeah, that works.
And then with that extra boost, they're taller, and then no one can complain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no one can complain. They might, but no one can. No one should complain is what I should say. They will, but no one should.
Stand on when they complain.
Yeah. They'll have a base to stand on.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem... Yeah, greenskins... 2 things that are great about greenskins, aside from the list that I just mentioned. They get just a scratch, which is probably the best tactic in the whole game.
Single best tactic in the whole game.
Yeah, they get just a scratch, but then they also get shoot again. Which is amazing, especially because it lets you shoot an indirect again.
Or do you mean a limited?
There you go, limited. So you could double combi Scorcher if you want to. Yeah. Oh, Demonic Teddy saying, I got my Gobbo today. Was excited to find that there's an optional Rudolph nose for the squig? What?
I didn't know that it was optional. I just assumed that was required.
No, it's not on any of the box art, bud.
No, it totally has a Rudolph nose and
I
some
didn't
of the
notice it. I did not notice it at all. That's news to me. Oh my goodness. Teddy just made my day.
Nah.
I think that's where we end the
Right.
episode on.
Okay.
All right. I had fun.
Holiday cheer.
That's right. Ha
Hey,
ha ha!
hey.
Merry
It's not even
Christmas.
it's not Thanksgiving yet. No holiday cheer.
No, the only
Throw it right
statute of
there.
limitation before Thanksgiving is no Mariah Carey. You play Mariah Carey, you get the bunk. All right, buddy. You have a good night.
All right, you too, bud. Night, everyone.
Bye, Internet. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram. We have a Strategic Advantage Instagram. We have individual Instagrams. I'm at eman.paints, and Alex is at alexmech_. You'll see those in the description. And if you're finding
Don't
us
follow
on...
me. I never post.
Sir?
Don't follow me. I never post.
Or follow him and shame him into posting by messaging him every day.
Oh my God, I will kill you.
And if you're finding us on podcast, check out our YouTube channel. Just search YouTube for Strategic Advantage. We'll show up with an essay, red and black dice. And check out all the other stuff we got to offer. This is just one part of many. Yeah, I think that's it.
Bye, folks.
Bye.